didn't
to prove it.
Yeah.
Would you sell wood for firewood then?
No, that was for lumber, box bolts.
What's box bolts? I don't know.
Well, they make these pallets and different things like that out of it.
Okay.
In those days.
Okay.
Now they make a lot of other thing out of it. They make a lot of different things out of it, you know, crepe material and different things of that sort.
Okay, I'm going to take you back to this school again, because that school, it was 1 through 4 and then 5 through 8, and then when kids left there, you went to Marinesco for high school?
Right.
Okay.
Right. And then, of course, on my 11th year over there, they had a guy come around, looking for people to work in the shipyards, down the L.D. Smith shipyard in Sturgeon Bay. So I signed up for that summer.
Start over again. I lost something at the beginning. That was the summer, but you were still in high school, or you?
Right, my 11th year.
Okay, all right.
In between my 11th and my 12th.
Okay, that's what I didn't hear. Go ahead.
That's what it was. And so I went down there. There was about 6 of us guys went down there, and I was the only guy that ended up staying there. Everybody else quit and went home. And I ended up with 2 jobs. I worked 8 hours in the shipyard, and then for about 5 weeks, 8 hours in a cherry canning plant.
Oh my gosh.
During the night hours, we cleaned up the place and got all everything all ready, all the cans on the conveyors and different things the way they wanted it. And there was about 4 of us worked in there. And so I was putting in for about 5 weeks, 16 hours a day. Yeah.
And then you came back here in the fall?
Well, that guy in the shipyard wanted to give me, he says, I can get you. I said, I'm going to join the service. See, just as soon as I'm 18. I was only 17 then. And well, he says, I can get you a deferment. I says, I don't want a deferment. Well, he said, why not? I says, I want to go. I'm going to enlist. Well, he says, okay. His name was Miller, his last name.
So you were born in 27.
And he also told me there was a union man coming around giving me a bunch of trouble. That I should join your union. I said, I don't believe in your union. Go on, get out of here. That's for the lazy people. and so, well, he says, you won't get a raise. So I talked to Miller one day. He was my foreman. And he says, you want a raise? I says, well, who don't? Well, he says, here. He says, you sharpen up all your chisels. And you go down. He says, you know where you check in? On the room to the right, there's going to be a couple of guys in there. I'm gonna let them know you're coming. And you sharpen up your chisels, take that stuff down, or they have an air hammer there, and you take your test. I said, how many tests I can take? He says, how many you want to take? I says, all the tests there is, I'll take them all. So I went down there, I took 3 tests, I got top wages.
You did?
I jumped from bottom right to the top.
So you stayed there and worked for a while then?
Yeah, I stayed there and worked until school started.
Okay.
And then I went to school, and then of course when
school here?
In Marinesco.
Okay.
And,
so you stayed in high school then?
Yeah, but I never finished my 12th year because I missed about 3 weeks because I turned 18, 18th of April. And school ain't out until, in May or first part of June, somewhere there. And I had my physical in January for the service. And I kept going to school, and I figured, I'm going to get my call. I'm 18. Why ain't I getting this?
Go.
It took about 2 weeks after I was 18, I got my call. And so I never really finished high school. I wasn't on their high school picture for that year of graduation or anything. Everybody told me, you never graduated, Dumask.
So I'm trying to think what year that would have been. If you were born in 27, this would have been like 43?
47. No, 44, I think.
So it was near the end of the war.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't old enough to get in there, that's why I got in there, and I enlisted for the duration of the war. Of course, I was only in there, let's say, 15 months, because that's what I did. I enlisted for the duration of the war. So after the war was over with, I come home.
Or, yeah, Army?
Navy. Well, you got to have
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
My brother, he was drafted. See, he's a year and 2 weeks older than I am.
Okay.
And so the guy was asking him when they come up the line, and he was watching this. See, he could see what was going on, and he had a stamp your papers, Army or Navy. And says to my brother, he said, what do you want, Army or Navy? And he grabbed the Army stamp and was going to stamp an Army, and my brother grabbed his arm. He says, you asked me what I wanted. I don't want Army, I want Navy. He says, you can't have Navy.
Oh.
He says, you asked me what I wanted, I said Navy. He dropped that Army, took the Navy, and stamped the Navy. So he got it.
And so then you wanted to go in the Navy too, because
Yeah.
your brother had.
Yeah, because he was already in there then.
Was there was never a high school in Presque Isle?
Yes, there was. That was before my time.
Okay.
And
That was back at the time of the big mills here.
yes, and that high school. Afterwards, when you started to go to Monesco, they made a town hall out of that high school.
On here, where would that be? On
That,
this big picture
that would
here?
be.
We've had many opinions about it.
About where the high
way
school
up on
was.
the top up here. It isn't on this one.
And back in the red and white, like,
Alongside of it,
alongside.
there was the McKinsey house next to the red and white store, and then just to the left of the McKinsey house was the school. It wasn't very big, but it was a school. And then they made a town hall out of it, and then afterwards we used to watch movies in there. Ray Morrison used to have a projector in the screen, and we'd give him 25 cents to watch a movie.
Why did there was a high school when the big mill was running, right? And then when
Right.
the mill shut down, then was when people went to Marinesco. I mean,
Yeah.
then the town was kind of shrinking then after.
Yeah, there wasn't many in school,
Uh-huh.
you know.
So when would what was the name of that big mill? Was there a big mill?
Of the sawmill?
Yeah.
Well, that was the Winegar mill.
The one your dad worked in.
Yeah, Winegar.
And then when did that slow down, or do you know, can you guess?
I've been trying to think of the year, you know, because I knew we were going to get into this question here. But it was torn down whenever I was in high school yet, because the company store burnt down. A guy, he bought the company store. His name was Laundry.
Laundry?
Now I remember his name.
Oh, he bought it from the company.
He bought it from the company store, and he made a soda fountain out of it. And then it burnt down. And when it burnt down, we were living in the house right next to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was like a southeast wind. It was blowing everything out into the mill yard, and all the remains of stuff of the mill, that all burnt. There was fires out there all over from all the stuff that was out there, all the debris. And our house would have went, but we got a bucket brigade on these wooden shingles, cedar shingles, and we kept it wet. It was just steaming and smoking, you know. We thought we were going to lose it from the heat, just from the heat. If the wind would have been the other way, we would have saved it.
Yeah.
We would have lost it.
You paid $10 a month for rent?
Yeah, at that house.
When you were in high school,
Yeah.
or when you were in school?
And we gave it to he was a surveyor, and he bought a lot of the stuff around town, and he bought that house. It'll come to me after a while. I should write that stuff down.
Okay, I'm going back because we're trying to figure out the mill would have been torn down. Because you said your dad worked there when you were a little boy.
Yeah, and then we lived on one of the side streets there across from Tracy's place where Tony Olson used to
So it
live.
would have been sometime in the 30s.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's when my dad left.
So sometime in the 30s.
Yeah, he left. He went to Otnoggin. And
After the mill closed, your dad left.
Yeah. After, well, he left. He left shortly before the mill was completely done, and he went up to Otnoggin up there. And then this mill here was all moved. All the structure, heavy equipment that was in there was moved up to Lake Linden. I was snowmobiling up there one day, and I was up to Lake Linden. We went over there, and I said, I got to find a place see if somebody knows anything about that mill. And we went into a bar, and asked the guy, the guy who owned the place, he was tending bar, and he says, yeah. He says, yeah, that came from Winegar. He says, we had it here for years. He says, we loaded it on the flat cars, on the railroad. It was shipped out to Idaho from Lake Linden.
And spell spell the last name, Linden,
Lake Linden.
Linden.
I don't know. See, that's what I mean.
it's-
And
it's
where
like
is that? Where were you in the bar that you
That
talked to
was-
this guy?
Up there past Houghton.
Okay.
But it'd be on on the south side of that river, the flowage, because we went across the flowage with the snowmobiles to go over there.
That's interesting. So they didn't tear the whole thing down. They moved the equipment and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, they took the heavy equipment. You know, the wood stuff all stayed, just like it did here, and they just took out the carriage and the boilers and all that stuff.
Okay. I mean, were you aware that the town seemed like it got poorer than once the mill shut down? Did it change life in town?
Yes, I knew it was poor, because I heard my mother cry at night.
How poor she was.
Yep. Yep, she didn't know.
Those are memories you'd rather forget.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But you know what? She was a happy person, and she was very upbeat and faced life head on.
Why I suppose there wasn't much way to make money.
No.
There was no income. See,
Yeah.
I know my mother. She worked over to Bayview Lodge there for a couple of years. I was there with her, and I worked as a boy there. I would get the bar room cleaned up, and then pack ice in the coolers. And then put ice in the ice boxes in the cottages and stuff like that. We were there for a couple of years. We stayed right there in the bunkhouse in the summertime. They had a bunkhouse there for the help. And then I stayed there with my mother. And then we used to go in, I and Bill Snyder, we used to go in and raid the refrigerator at night. And but the only thing we could find was olives. And I just hated olives. But after a while I got to like them. Because that's all there was.
You were looking for something to make a sandwich or something. Probably.
Yeah, looking for
something good.
Yeah, or a hunk of pastry or something.
Something good.
And it just wasn't in there.
But did the town kind of, like when you said you were in high school, did the town have kind of a resurgence, or did it always then? It stayed pretty small after the mill left.
Yeah, it stayed pretty small. Most of the houses were moved out or torn down.
They were.
Yeah. A guy by the name of Axel Hill was the mover. He's the guy that moved most of the houses. He moved my mother's house. My mother bought Einar Nagren's house up on the top side street. And that would be only a couple doors down from where Tony Olson lived. It was a pretty nice house, one of the nicest houses in town. He had a nice front porch built on it and stuff like that. And he maintained the house well. And my mother bought that. And Axel Hill, and that was sitting really up on the hump right there. That's where the last town garage was, right in there. They bulldozed all that off there now. But that house sit there, and I told Mom, I don't know how he's going to get that thing off that hill. She says like this to me. He says, Amanda, you set a glass of water on your kitchen table full to the top, he says, and I won't spill a drop. And he did. And he didn't have those rubber wheels and stuff. He had them old cast iron wheels. Big cast iron wheels that he had underneath there. And he brought that down off there, and that's the house that is across the street there from the yacht club.
Yeah. And your mom's name was Manda?
Manda.
Okay.
M-A-N-D-A.
Okay.
You know that Lucille died
Yes.
2 weeks ago.
Yes. And I didn't get to go to the funeral.
I didn't either. I didn't even know about
I
it.
wondered what all that doings was over here at the Legion, and I thought, well, I missed the corn roast again.
Oh.
Then after a while I got thinking, corn roast, this is Tuesday. Corn roast had got to be on a weekend. And then I found out from Bill Van Bagel out there that was Lucille's people that was getting things ready for the funeral. So I missed that too.
Yeah, I did too, and I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
So even when you were a boy, did you make money by fishing and trapping and stuff?
Minnows.
For your family?
Minnows and trapping.
Minnows. What minnows? To catch them for
I'd
fish?
go down there and catch minnows down below the big dam by the mill. There was held back about between 6 to 8 foot of water. And of course that was across the whole river, That was what you